Welcome to Latter-day Siblings. I'm Celia.
I'm Clark.
And I'm Kent.
We are three siblings who love pop culture, especially when it's got a Mormon twist. Join our tripanionship as we break down Taylor Frankie Paul's season of The Bachelorette week by week.
Should we start with an opening prayer?
Yeah.
I can't believe we've never talked about that yet, actually, that we haven't even discussed opening thoughts, opening prayers. It's just now dawned on me that we should have planned that out a little bit beforehand.
Well, we can if people feel so strongly. Or we can start with something else that can be in the place of an opening prayer.
Perfect, I like it.
I actually feel like we're still riding the high of our family vacation where we all got stuck in Florida to do Disney World for Mom's 70th birthday. Still all I can think about, even weeks later.
It was extremely fun.
It was great.
It was amazing.
Clark, what did you think? Did it surpass, or was it not quite up to your expectations, or was it even better than you ever
I
dreamed?
think it was better.
Where do you land?
Had hoped. I was afraid that there would be some awkward moments and some bad times, or at least one fight between somebody, but there were none of those things, and I genuinely think everyone had a lovely time.
I agree. I thought it could, like, in planning it, I was really stressed about how it was going to go, and I thought it, like, exceeded expectations.
Not to give, Disney World is not sponsoring this podcast, but I was amazed at how they were able to accommodate a group of 20 people without very much judgment. They were pretty accommodating. There was one time when I was saying something a little disparaging about Mom, and she walked around the corner. That was the most awkward time of the whole trip. I don't think she heard it, so it was okay.
I do remember that, and she did kind of bring it up in conversation later. Like, she definitely knew we were talking about her, but I don't think she knew for sure what was said, so.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Probably forgotten by now, but.
Sorry, Mom.
Are we ever going to share this podcast with our mother, or are we going to just share it and just...
No.
To her, we do not do this. This is not a thing.
She's going to have to organically find this all on her own. And since it's not about BTS or Bernie Sanders, she will not find it.
Or her favorite sexy Chinese YouTubers.
Oh, no.
That's exactly the conversation we were having when she walked around the corners. There you go. I think we should call this this podcast "Surprise, Your Mom is a Homophobe." I think that's what I found out that trip.
That's so funny.
Which I hate.
Speaking of that, we should finally nail down what the name of our podcast is going to be.
How do we feel about, I feel like we've gone through some iterations. Choose the Rose kind of really narrows us in only on Bachelorette. Latter-day Snark maybe wasn't a favorite among everybody. I don't know.
I think you guys like that, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Latter-day Snarks.
But how do we feel about
However,
Latter-day Siblings?
I love Latter-day Siblings so much.
Okay, that's my favorite, I think.
That's my favorite, for sure.
Ken?
I feel warm about that.
Okay.
I think we should do
Great.
Latter-day Siblings.
That's amazing. Hopefully that's the only thing we agree on in this podcast. Otherwise it might be kind of boring. Just teasing. I appreciate that. That's good. Latter-day Siblings. Everyone can join us weekly for our family home evening where we discuss Taylor Frankie Paul's season of The Bachelorette.
Can't wait.
Okay, so another thing that I was thinking about these both kind of go together, but something I was thinking about is that, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is their preferred name, is a lot to say over and over on a podcast because I think we'll be referring to it quite frequently. So I think that, can we agree that using terms like the Mormons or Mormonism, even the church are okay? Or even LDS Church is another way that I might refer to it sometimes. I don't know. What do you think?
Clark, what do you think?
I think that's totally fine. I have plans that nobody from the church will ever know about this podcast.
Well, I was going to say that being said, I rarely do refer to the church by its full name because when I do, I usually have to follow up with usually we're called the Mormons, and people are like, yeah, that one. So I kind of just it's just too much for me. So I feel like, especially in a podcast situation, it'll be easier. I do think that we have some jargon or some cultural aspects that are very specific to Mormonism something that comes to mind is, when we say CTR, that means choose the right. FHE, we have family home evening. Once a week, families were supposed to meet together and have a spiritual or fun kind of lesson together. So maybe we need to be more careful about how we use those words and explaining them as we do use them, because I use them frequently and realize that they probably don't translate super well to someone outside of the church.
I think I've gotten pretty good at not using those types of terms, having lived in North Carolina for several years, because it's just confusing to people. But I will also add that I think it's either Parker Brothers or Hasbro Games has thrown a thing on all of their new games. If you notice, it's like play on Monday nights, make it a family night. So I think the idea of getting together as a family is quite a popular one.
Wait, is that for real? The games say that?
Hold on, I'm going to find it.
So are we saying that Hasbro is trying to like target their widest audience, or they're just like stealing the concept of family home evening from the
100% they are totally like just riding on the coattails of the church.
I mean, to be fair, I think that there's many a Mormon mother who buys games specifically marketed to Mormon families. Like, we've all played the lovely card game And It Came to Pass,
Yeah.
which is like a specific Mormon game, right? And many a mother was tricked into buying that just based on the title alone. And so that is actually not a bad idea for Hasbro, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not finding the exact one, but I'll find it at some point. And
While we're talking about it, should we talk about the sponsors that we're shooting for? Because I think Hasbro would be great right off the bat. Disney.
Disney World, reach out. We're open to it.
Sugary cereals like Lucky Charms.
in true like Mormon fashion, I think we would want to be sponsored by board games is great, but probably an ice cream place.
Mm-hmm.
Dairy Queen would be incredible, or
Ooh.
maybe like a delicious Utah staple like Burger Supreme.
Burger Supreme.
Operation Underground Railroad would be
Nope.
really cool.
Not anymore. Not that one.
That's funny.
I'm just teasing.
You know, this would all be worth it if I could just like get a free meal at Burger Supreme.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna
even
lie.
just one free
It would all be worth it.
Well,
Any
I'll
free
buy
meal.
it.
Here's a $10 certificate.
Listen, I've been a rewards member there for years. I ate there weekly during hair school, and I only ever made enough points to get one thing of fries. So I think they're pretty stingy about what you get.
Well, we can get lofty. Dairy Queen, Burger Supreme, if you're out there. We
Hit
would
us up.
love to have you. We'd love to represent you.
And our rates are low.
One free meal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an ice cream code.
We can pitch it to them like an MLM. Like, if you get in on the ground floor, it'll be like a entry level.
Well, not Dairy Queen, but Burger Supreme I love enough that I'll do free advertising. Go to Burger Supreme right now.
Burger Cream.
Cream. Can we please make
have
a place called Burger Queen that just does delicious burgers?
And ice cream, soft serve.
And then we'd get sued by Dairy King because
or
it sounds
would we be
too
sued
similar.
by Burger King? That's like, you can't be Burger Queen.
Exactly.
Which landmine? That's what makes it so fun.
Who
will sue us into non-existence?
Eat a burger Earl. Or we'll have to I don't know what.
Burger Earl?
The Duke of Burger.
Grill, the Duke of Grill. I do think, I was going to say, I have a friend going to Utah for a work trip, and she asked me for things to do while she's there. She's going in March, and Burger Supreme was definitely on my list.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a good one. Are we cool saying our last name on here?
Yeah, of course.
Are we feeling like we're in witness protection?
I live in North Carolina. Come and get me.
Wow.
No, please come and get me.
On house arrest.
So one thing that I also wanted to discuss with you guys before we get started is I know we have kind of talked about this before, but are we keeping this super family friendly? Are we keeping it schmoots family friendly? Which, when we were growing up, we were allowed to say inappropriate things or maybe even use swear words if it was funny, if it had good comedic value. So I'm going to defer to Clark on this one as the father figure.
I mean, I can only say for me, I don't imagine a scenario where I will want to use vulgarity on this podcast. However, if the both of you feel so inclined, I also will not be judgmental, and so I'm fine with whatever you want to do. I really,
Great.
I'm at
I really, my kids are like pretty sensitive. It's pretty funny. I'm not super against swearing, but my daughter loves Taylor Swift, and she was trying to describe the song "Tis the Damn Season," and she was trying to get me to understand the song without saying it out loud because it was so horrific to say. But she also,
I've turned into a prolific potty mouth, but I would like to be a part of a podcast that one day my nieces and nephews might listen to and not be totally ashamed.
Yeah, my kids want to listen, so I feel like we'll try to keep it as schmoots family friendly as we can.
I just hope that everyone will be their true, authentic selves in this podcast. So whatever that means for you, go for it.
Yeah, I will say one thing for our family is we really allow each other to be our true authentic selves, I think.
And along those lines,
Oh, here he goes. He's taking off his shirt. He's taking off his
I
shirt.
was gonna take my shirt off, but it got caught in my belt loop, so I didn't.
Well,
I think though
I was earlier going to say something about family prayer where Clark would end up with his pants down.
Might have happened once or twice.
I was gonna say we are very accepting of each other, but we also have just the right flavor of bullying each other into social normativity. Like, I'm afraid of showing my ass crack in public, and I can thank you guys for that. I can really thank you guys for that.
Let's get started with some introductions. I think it's important that we introduce ourselves and then maybe we talk about where we each fall in the family so that we can get a little bit of that sibling dynamic. And then what you think your role in this podcast might be as that sibling. So let's go ahead and start with the youngest. Kent, why don't you go first?
Sure. I'm Kent Schmutz. I'm the youngest of 5 within the Schmutz family. I am a registered nurse. I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am married to my beautiful wife, Hannah, and we have one child named Randall. He's an orange cat, and that's basically it. That's me in a nutshell.
All right. So what do you think your role in this podcast will be?
I'm going to be the Layman and the Lemuel role, as well as the King Noah. All of the... I'm just kidding. Clark's looking at me funny.
Well, King Noah's really intense. Like Laman and Lemuel,
King Noah
sure,
is
they were
intense.
kind of naughty. King Noah like murdered people?
Yeah,
King
I'm going to
Noah
be
was
the
that
Lemuel.
guy with 2 leopards for pets. Oh.
Everything I want in this life that I can't
So
achieve.
people are at this point. People are like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. I think you might need to explain to us what a Laman and Lemuel are.
They are the less righteous and complainy complainers of the Book of Mormon, which I think is going to be my exact role on this podcast.
Perfect. We're so glad you're here.
I'm so old.
Clark, what about you? Yeah.
I am the middle child of the 5, but the oldest of the 3 of us. And I live in North Carolina, and I'm a registered nurse anesthetist, and I have 5 beautiful children and a wonderful wife. My role in this podcast will be to, provide the senior leadership, really guide us morally and religiously and ecumenically, and that is about it.
We need that.
Ecumenically.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to define ecumenically for the crowd of me that doesn't understand it?
I sure do.
You have to Google it
means
first.
Acting in a manner that promotes unity and cooperation and understanding among different Christian churches and denominations.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're so glad you're here. All right. I'm Celia Schmutz. I am now married, but I'm going to go by Schmutz for this podcast because it feels more unifying. I live just outside of Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, and I'm also married, have been for 15 years, and I have 3 children, and we recently got a dog who I love and hate, but mostly love. I am a paralegal, and I also am I was the one who had the idea for this podcast and really will probably be the person that brings in a lot of the Bachelorette knowledge, as well as a female Mormon perspective. So when I sent out the text I sent out the text in our sibling group chat to ask if anyone wanted to do this podcast with me. And you two were the only ones who responded affirmatively. So why did you guys decide you wanted to be part of this podcast?
I can go first with that. The truth is that I love reality TV and I like hanging out with you guys. I am obviously the youngest and I look up to all of my siblings.
I don't even know. Even if nobody ever hears this podcast, it's fun to get together and talk about these things with my siblings who I love and adore, and we're all Bachelor fans. We're all Secret Lives of Mormon Wives fans or watchers at least, and it's just a good time to hang out. And if we get thousands of dollars in sponsorships, then that's just gravy on top of our mashed potato casserole.
If we Burger Supreme from Burger Queen Supreme, then who's to fault
Queen
us?
Supreme.
Well,
why did you ask
once
us
again,
to do it, Celia? Why do you want to do this podcast?
Well, it's interesting because I have often wanted to do a Bachelor recap podcast, mostly just because there is a lot of crossover within Mormonism and the Bachelorette. There's usually someone who's from Utah or who grew up Mormon or something, and that culturally plays into the way that the podcasters that I listen to talk about it. And I frequently want to correct the things that they're saying because they don't, obviously, if you weren't raised near or in Mormonism, there's a lot of differences or nuances or weird things that you wouldn't quite grasp onto. So I was really excited, especially when those two worlds so directly crossed. And once again, I love and respect my siblings. And, you're really the only people who I would actually want to do a podcast with. Well, that's not true, but like who I would want to do this podcast with because it is a good excuse for us to all get together. So
pause right now. Who would you want to do if you had anyone in the world, who would you want to do a podcast with? Not your siblings.
See, that's the thing. I genuinely don't know. Maybe Amelia.
Oh, that's cute. That's sweet.
Who's also family, just a cousin.
Right. We should have Amelia on sometime.
We should.
That's sweet, and I'm honored that you would even invite us to be a part of this situation.
Well, I'm really glad you're both here, so thank you for working on this with me. My therapist thinks this is going to be really good for me, so thanks.
I think all the best things come in threes.
Amen to that. Look at us.
This is the unstoppable tripanionship.
Agreed. Let's promise that forever. All right. How do you guys feel about Taylor Frankie Paul? Because I think that there are obviously a lot of fans of hers out there, but I think there's also a lot of haters and a lot of people who give her criticism, maybe fair and unfair. But I'll start with my opinion first. I really struggled with her social media presence before her soft swinging scandal broke. I thought she was kind of annoying and I kind of tried to just ignore her. But once the soft swinging broke and then everything kind of picked up, I really started to feel for her. And also she grew on me. She's a really good showman. She is really good at what she does. I think she's smart and savvy in the way that she has grown her brand and her business. And I also have, feel for her because I know a lot of women like her within the Mormon church who, maybe made mistakes, whether they were that public or not, but have made mistakes or done things that kind of go against the teachings within the church, and the guilt and the shame that surrounds that really creates a lot of other struggles, mentally, socially, all sorts of things that she's been going through. So I feel for her and I really want the best for her. And I actually do really like her as I've gotten to see her more on our screen. And I think that anyone on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives owes their fame to Taylor Frankie Paul and her savvy.
I think we're going to agree on that one. The first exposure I had to Taylor Frankie Paul was on a podcast, kind of talking about her story. And honestly, my first impression was just another girl who's just kind of seeking attention, and it was a little bit of annoying. But I would say she's one of my least favorite characters on the first season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Lives. And then by the second season, I really enjoyed her, and I'm kind of rooting for her. I think I don't know if there's anybody that's authentic on that show, but she's potentially the most authentic. And I'm kind of pulling for her. I hope that things turn around for her.
Yeah, do you feel like it changed for you because of her authenticity, or what do you think she did that really changed your opinion of her?
I mean, I think she mentioned on the show getting therapy, but I just think overall she's kind of she's pretty open and honest about her shortcomings and her problems and wanting to make them better. I just think that she was the most forward in season 2. It's been a few weeks since I finished it now, so I don't remember as many details, but I just remember being like, okay, like she's really, making an effort to either like keep people in her life or just like pushing people out that were toxic and annoying. And I appreciated her honest and blunt personality choices.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that translates to the Bachelorette. I hope that she does the same thing with the men on her season. I hope we see some like really quick exits for people that she's either not feeling it with or for someone who she catches in a lie or something.
If I could add a little bit of Taylor Frankie Paul, the first time I like knew about her was actually from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I think generally that show paints her as in a positive light. On top of the fact that I think that she has kind of recovered from some really difficult things that like come out, or I just think she's taken her life story with a lot more grace and growth than a lot of people could in the same circumstances.
Hmm.
And I think that that's something that's really alluring about her, that I think everyone wants to be able to be better than the person they were, a few months ago. And I think that she's been really mature despite having work to do and despite needing to go to therapy rather than being on a reality TV show. Like, I think that that's something that's so exciting about her, is that she can kind of fall from grace and also recover at the same time.
Yeah. So you like her?
Yeah, I'm a huge Taylor Frankie Paul fan. That being said, I watch a lot of reality TV, and I just like can't look them up online, because the second I'm actually looking at their social media stuff, I'm like, oh, never meet your heroes. I
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
don't like everything, and I'm
Hmm.
not talking about Taylor Frankie Paul specifically. However, have you guys been following like her latest thing as far as her political commentary?
No.
No,
Uh,
apparently not. Let me
uh,
guess. She compared Minnesota to the Holocaust.
No, she compared, and now I feel so terrible because I'm forgetting his name, the second gentleman who's literally an ICU nurse that was murdered by ICE.
Yeah,
Freddie.
Yes, she basically said that Alex's situation reminded her of Charlie Kirk, basically, which garnered a lot of backlash, but with clarification, she just was basically trying to say, I think she was, anyway, I think that's a very complicated statement to make, but what she said after the fact was like, no, I'm just trying to point the fact that like people that are in the political spotlight, like that's what's the same about them. Not the best, but that's why I just don't look them up on social media, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that should be like a damning confession. I don't think it's exactly right, but she could have also just been saying like two people that got shot for no reason, for political reasons. You could say that.
Exactly,
Those
and
are
that's
not
the
where the
point that she was
comparisons end,
making.
but
That's the point she was making. I think she made a statement that was a little bit like caught people off guard, and like myself as well. But as she clarified, she was basically saying exactly what you said, Clark. That she was comparing the two because of, I mean, highly politically charged deaths that got a lot of attention, and that is what brings the two together.
I, I do think that probably, speaking of not meeting your heroes, I don't know if she reaches hero status for me quite yet, but I do really like her. I also do not think she and I would agree on a lot of things, politics included. So,
Yeah, but she looked great at the All Star game, at the All Star weekend.
listen, her assist, she faked out that mascot and she got the ball to that one guy who made the basket. That's great.
well, I mean, considering that mascot only had like 5% vision, I think
I think we should
I
break it down like that YouTube video. She passes it to the man right over the mascot, and boom goes the dynamite.
Boom
shoots a
goes the
shot.
dynamite. Back it up,
Um,
Terry.
yeah, I'll be honest. I only saw highlights of that game. I didn't watch the whole thing, but man, she looked like pretty small out there. There was that moment where she almost got crushed by Glorilla, and that was exciting, I guess. It is funny because she's definitely taken advantage of the spotlight. Like, what else on ABC or Disney could she do? Because she's really, with Bachelorette and Secret Wives, and now I guess she needs to appear on like a season of Andor or something to finish off
What
the
kind of
trail.
brand deals is Taylor Frankie Paul looking after? That's what we should be asking.
I don't know, but I hope she's getting a bag while the getting's good.
Wait, did you know she's 5'6"?
I didn't know
That
that
sounds
actually.
about right. It's about
Online it says she's 5'6". I mean, she's 4 inches taller than me, but I would have to guess I have at least 45 pounds on her.
I don't think so. But if you want to
I
talk about weights and
That's why you
measures,
never meet your heroes, because I do not want to know how tall Taylor Frankie Paul is.
I'm just
you
That
saying,
never
takes
ask
the
a woman
magic
her
out of
weight,
it.
or a man his salary, or a podcast how many awesome endorsement deals it has lined up.
well, where'd you read that?
The internet.
I was gonna say, did you Google it? All right. Why are people so fascinated with Mormons? Like, what have we done that have really given people license to? Because this isn't, I feel like in the last few years it's really exploded with so many Mormon influencers, but this is not new. There's been books and movies and Broadway shows. Like, what is it about us that is so fascinating to people?
I think that there's a lot of interesting Mormons, especially in news in the last like 5 to 10 years in American news. I would say that similarly, and I'm not complaining, but I do think like there is kind of open season on just kind of saying whatever you want about Mormons without very little blowback or social commentary. Like the fact that you can write an entire musical that basically makes fun of the religion. It just is true when people say like you probably wouldn't be able to do that about a lot of other religions, even though I think like satire and stuff. So I'm not complaining. I think that mostly members of the church who complain about that stuff should just like stop crying in their root beer, like just move on. It's not that big a deal. But I do think there is kind of like a socially acceptable amount that you can talk about and make fun of Mormons with very little public backlash. And so I think that also makes members of the church kind of ripe for discussion, but it doesn't really also bother me at all. But yeah, those would be my answers.
Yeah, I think mine would be pretty similar. I also just think that, as a newer religion, so much more of what we do is just been out and open to people. I mean, obviously, there's some parts of it that aren't out and open, but evangelizing is a big one. Most people have seen missionaries and are at least sort of curious about that. And I think that there are some really interesting and different things about our culture. I mean, we basically dominate a whole state in the United States, and it comes with such a distinct, yeah, culture and personality. And I do think, like when I moved away from Utah and I would be out in public with friends who weren't members of the Mormon church, and I would be like, we'd be like hanging out somewhere, and I'd be like, oh, that person over there is a Mormon. And they would be like, how do you know? I'd be like, I just know. Like, there are obviously tells, right? There's clues. But I'm like, I just know. And most, I was right generally. I knew I was right for specific reasons, but I think there's just something really specific about the quirkiness and the culture of Mormonism that's really appealing. I also think Mormons, especially those who are being influencers or gaining attention in the media, we're taught from a really young age how to present ourselves and how to be in front of groups, and also like, to be anxiously engaged in a good cause, right? Like we've got a little bit of this like work hard and never stop trying, like spirit in us that's been kind of ingrained in us since childhood, that puts us, lets us have this kind of like sense of, I don't want to say ego, but like sense of like, I can do that. I could be that person. What do you think, Kent?
I think this is really interesting to hear that. I don't know. I think this is where my layman and Lemuel is going to come out, because I think that the church has so many wonderful people. Like, so many people know Mormons, and they're really fundamentally good people in so many aspects. And I think that the church, especially its history, warrants, I think there's, I don't know, I don't want to say discrepancies, but it's worth like paying attention to, and maybe those two things don't entirely add up. And at the same time, I think that the church gets a lot of like unfair criticism. It's like the things that get thrown in people's face as a naysayer. I think there's just more things that could be looked into as far as the church's history with like polygamy and also just racism that doesn't always coincide with the really good people that identify themselves as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's actually probably a big part of it as well, is there's a whole curiosity around like why polygamy, why racism, why we feel and believe the way that we do. And when people find out I'm a member of the church, there's a lot of different questions that I've been asked. Obviously, you get the like, oh, how many moms do you have? Or like, there's all sorts of questions. My favorite being, what do I have to do to get a place on Kolob? And I was like, what? But there are all sorts of like weird, random little tidbits of information about Mormonism that stick out from other churches that I think are interesting and cause a lot of curiosity.
That's what I'm kind of getting at is like the questions I get asked are like, oh no, that's so absurd. That's so absurd. That's not really what I believe or anyone that I know believes. However, you're getting closer to something that is worthy of like questioning and introspecting on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. I think that's true. Agreed.
could I also pause? I mean, I feel like it's worth just mentioning. Like, I mean, we're three siblings that grew up in the same household in Provo, Utah, in a very conservative state. We went to the same high school. And at this current stage in our life, I think that we are on a spectrum of belief, and I think that's I think that's what makes us interesting.
Yeah.
Do you guys like agree, or do you think this is going to be like difficult to like talk about really sensitive things like religion on a podcast and like publishing it? You know what I mean?
I don't think it'd be hard at all.
No, I don't think so. And I think I definitely think it's worth mentioning that the idea of us all being on a spectrum of belief, because we really do represent like a pretty good spectrum of what it looks like to be Mormon, what it looks like to practice Mormonism. I don't know. And I, yeah, I think that that's definitely something that we could bring up.
I think if anyone wants to know who Layman and Lemuel are, they should go to the source. They should read the Book of Mormon.
So now you're not the Layman and Lemuel, you're the Nephi.
I'm the evangelist.
I took
Exactly.
care of a guy at the hospital the other day named Lemuel, and I was like, "What on earth?" And that was fine.
Did you ask him, where'd your name come from, sir?
Totally wasn't. He had nothing to do with the church, but like the nurse in the room also is like a less active member of the church, and I just like showed him the name, and he was like,
That's funny.
It's like, there are certain people, like when people meet, my husband's name is Benson. When people meet him, they either and know where his name comes from. It's either because they're a member of the church. We had a prophet named Ezra Taft Benson, or they were a big fan of the show in the 80s with the butler Benson, and they're
"Oh yeah,
really confused at why he's white. So uh, there are definitely certain names. If I hear the name Ammon, Nephi, that you're like, oh, this person has to have some association with the church.
Just a couple of days ago, I saw someone, or like I was at work, and I went into a room, and someone was watching the BYU game, and I asked them, "Oh, like who are you cheering for?" And he said BYU, and I was like, "Cool, I used to go to BYU," and he was like really really shocked. I don't know why, but also
I
we
could
kind of
tell
like
you a
looked at
few
each other a
reasons
little bit,
why.
and we became instant friends. Wait, tell me more about that. That's what I want to hear about. Let's
You have
let's air
like
that out.
you have a beard and piercings and tattoos. Like I feel like if I saw you, I would also be like, "Oh, you went to BYU." Not that I would judge you, but like
But it
I
was also funny because like his eyes opened for a second, but then like we kind of were just like, "Hey, we've got that in common." You know what I mean? So I feel like
"Wait, why
it's a
was he
sweet.
reading for BYU though?"
Oh, because he was a BYU fan, and also I think that I think what he was, we didn't say a single thing other beyond that, but I think that he was a member of the church, and that the fact that I went to BYU and left it at that with like with my eyebrow piercing, just it's very loud. It's a statement, I will say. But it was like a nice little like connection moment. Like we've got that history in common.
I feel like that is something that Mormonism has given me, is that no matter who I meet, I want to figure out my connection to them, whether it's someone we know in common or like something that connects us. And sometimes I'll be like asking people questions to try and figure out like maybe what we might who we might know in common. And Benson will be like, Celia, they're not a member of the church. Like you're not going to find someone in common. But I have this like desire to connect with everyone in some way so that we can like make that like, oh, we're both BYU fans, like make that immediate connection, which is also maybe why people from Utah, or like specifically members of the church from Utah, wear BYU clothes whenever they go to like Disney World or amusement parks or travel all over the world, because then like, oh, hey, I I could ask those people for help, or like we could be instant friends.
It's like a secret code.
It really is, yeah. All right, so each of us has left Utah. It's been a long time since I've lived in Utah, Clark as well. Kent, you were the most recent person to have lived there. But, as is probably important for us to mention, we grew up obviously in the same family, but in Provo, Utah, where BYU is located, in a super conservative and religious community, which I honestly don't have a lot of complaints about. I had a really good childhood and a really good upbringing, but I've been really grateful to be able to leave Utah, and maybe sometimes I look back on Utah. I look back on Utah with fondness, but also see some serious quirks that I developed or that I have because of where I was raised. Um, there's a really different culture within Mormonism, whether you're in Utah or somewhere else. Would you guys agree with that? Like, there's a very specific, like, Utah Mormon culture. So I want to know, what's the most culturally Mormon thing that you still do even after leaving Utah? And we're going to say besides drinking a ton of soda, because that is both a schmutz and a Utah Mormon trait.
Yeah, it's true. While we are on the soda subject, however, it's my wife's birthday this week, and we will be driving 2 hours to the nearest swig so that we can get our fancy dirty soda. That
Wait,
is
where's
like
their swig? In North
Yeah.
Carolina?
in South Carolina. We are driving to South Carolina to get swig.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
I saw there was one when we were in Tennessee, but it was never close enough. We were in Nashville over Christmas, and it wasn't like close enough to make the trip. But now I'm like, oh, you're gonna drive 2 hours for it. Maybe I should have done that.
Yeah, so that's still the case, and to this day, I am
100.
drinking 44 to 88 ounces of soda per day. It is my caffeine of choice.
I think you might be the biggest soda drinker in our family,
Which is saying something.
which is saying something. I mean, do you guys remember when we all got together to do something for, I think probably for Dad? We were all together in North Carolina, and I think every day we made at least 2 runs to Sheetz to get everyone sodas. We have a problem, and it's great. I won't ever stop, but I do think
The fact that I'm not dead or like on dialysis once a day is actually quite impressive.
You will be.
I drink a lot of water. That's my only hope or chance. But
Is that all
I
you do
drink
all
an
day? You're just
absurd
like
amount of soda.
liquids all day? I would
Yes,
just
no,
be
I drink.
peeing
You should
constantly.
you should talk to Hannah about it because I am literally just gulping down. It's a shock that I haven't been doing it. So I drink a lot of soda and very fast, or water as well, because I still hold I'm drinking 80 ounces of soda, but I'm also drinking 80 plus ounces of water.
That
I
is
drink a lot.
amazing. At this point, like, when do you even eat?
Well, I don't. I'm on Wegovy. Brought to you by Wegovy.
There we go. That's another one. What's the most, okay, so soda aside, what's the most culturally Mormon thing that you think that you still hold on to, even being out of Utah?
Mine is definitely we go out for ice cream all the time. But I think that's like Utah consumes the most ice cream per capita.
I just
Like, a lot
think,
of people do love good ice cream here.
I think desserts in general. Like, Utah
Totally.
loves
You
dessert.
can't really have alcohol or coffee or tea, so we indulge in sweets
Yeah,
for sure.
that's like our social connector, right?
Yeah, but I
I'll be
mean,
honest, the East Coast
we
is
don't really
lacking in
have
sweets.
like a dirty soda shop out here, and I would love to start one, but yeah, like I take my kids to get ice cream all the time.
We do have a dirty soda shop, but it's 30 minutes away. Definitely started by someone who was creating a Sodalicious or a Swig kind of copy, and it's great. We love it. Cocoa, sodas, and sweets. Insert
Brought to you by.
brought to you by.
We love nothing. That's something that's so Mormon about us. We love nothing other than the concept of entrepreneurialism and an MLM. We're looking for a deal, and I think that's really honorable.
Yeah. The
I think
best
that's
way to
what
make
Utah is what
a
I
quick
mean. We love
buck,
a
right?
franchise. We
We
love
love
a
a
franchise.
franchise. All right, so Kent, what's your most culturally Mormon thing you've held on to besides obviously drinking 80 ounces of soda or driving 2 hours to go to
Wait, come
Swig?
back to me because now I need to think about it because like if you're excluding that, I mean, I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, you kind of you shed your all your cultural Mormonism stuff. I mean, I probably have a ton of them. One that was pointed out to me recently that I didn't remember was I play pickleball with a group of ladies who are not members of the church. The other day, one of the ladies was like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I grew up in Utah. And she was like, I just don't know anyone else who says like, geez Louise. And I was like, oh, geez Louise. And I do still use, because members of the church don't use swear words, or we try not to, at least. In our home, we kind of did. I use a lot of those like swear word inserts instead, like words that sound like them but aren't them, like dang, gosh, goodness, shoot, and I don't think that a lot of people use those really. So that I was surprised when that was pointed out to me recently.
If I could back up a little bit, I think that like even though I'm at like a space of maybe like deconstruction or kind of like reevaluating the beliefs that have propped me up for 28 years of my life, I think that being a member of the church and growing up within that community has also entirely formed who I am in ways that I can't even strip that away if I were to be a non-believer. I think that being part of the community has made me really friendly and has like helped me realize the joy of helping others, or I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things that I value the most about myself that being a member of the church helped me develop.
Yeah, being comfortable speaking in public is one for me. Like my love for music, I think really has come obviously from the family that we grew up in, but also, music plays such a huge part in worship within the Mormon church, or can at least. And so I think that's a huge part of it for me as well.
Clark, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's very true. Yeah, it's interesting because I would say in my community, there's a really like positive aspect of Mormons generally. Like I work with a couple of Mormon coworkers, and people like say very complimentary things of the church all the time, and I think that a lot of those are true. Those things that you mentioned, but yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think, as goes with any group of people, whenever someone tells me about someone they know who's Mormon, it's generally positive. I don't think people are generally going to be like, oh, I know a Mormon, he's the worst, when they're talking to
Right.
me. But most of the time when I talk to people, if they have something, they're like, oh, I have a coworker who's Mormon and he's great. And they want to tell me everything about him, right? I'm like, wow, that's awesome, or see if I know him. But generally people appreciate, the Mormon people that they know. I think that when people say negative things to me or choose to like share any type of criticism, it's generally about the church, what they've heard about the church's beliefs, or the culture that they don't appreciate. And it's not about individual people necessarily. So I think, like you said, Kent, there's just a general feeling of like kindness and goodness within the community. And obviously, that doesn't ring true for everyone in the community, but it still is like an overarching characteristic for people.
I think haters are going to hate, and Taylor Frankie Paul would agree.
Exactly. All right, so let's close it out with, obviously we've already talked about soda, so let's close it out with something super important. Swig or Sodalicious?
I mean, swig is more.
I'm
Go ahead, Clark.
No, I was gonna say I'm embarrassed to honestly. I don't know the difference. Which one has the Southern Gentleman?
Oh, I
I
don't
think
know.
that is so delicious.
I
It's
think
Okay,
so
I
delicious.
think I like Soda Delicious best because the Southern Gentleman is my favorite drink, which is Dr Pepper with vanilla and peach, and it's delicious. And I think that's so delicious. I
Yep,
will
it
say
is
that
Sodalicious.
the desserts they serve at those places are an abomination.
Oh, it, okay, take that back. Take back what you said about Thor,
Whoa,
because
okay.
no, I'm just teasing. Um, I I lived in Utah for what we call our year sabbatical during COVID. And I was pregnant with my last child at the time, and I was really sick. And in the morning, I would go drop my son off, my oldest off at kindergarten, and then go drive through at 8:30 in the morning, drive through So Delicious, and get my, Southern Gentleman, or my, Diet Coke with vanilla and cream or whatever. And I would get their oatmeal chocolate chip cookie, and So Delicious has a genuinely good oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, I take it back. I'm so
Otherwise,
sorry.
I agree. They don't necessarily, either place has like the best cookies in the world, because nothing is better than a Granny B's sugar cookie for me.
It just reminds you of how popular you were in middle school. That's what it is. Because I
Exactly.
didn't get any Granny B cookies in middle school.
You never got a Granny B cookie in middle school? Did they do that at your middle school, Clark?
I think I bought one for myself just
Yeah,
to save a
I
little bit of
I
face.
bet, I bet mom
was an
bought you one.
acapella with the granddaughter of the creator of Granny Bee Cookies.
Uh,
Pretty
my wife went to school with the guy that started Crumble, so
Stop. Look at
dang.
us. Look at us knowing all these people. Listen, if we started talking about
I
our
mean they both went to Utah
connections,
State, but they both went to Utah State, but
yeah.
I it's a stretch.
But still, if we started naming our connections to the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives cast members or all of the like famous-ish Mormons that are out there, we would be connected to most of them. So we have a lot to go off of. To go off of.
Definitely.
Anyway,
I had
I
lunch with Gladys Knight this weekend.
stop it.
Just kidding.
Oh,
I'm
I was
joking.
like,
I'm joking.
what? The Queen herself?
I know.
I do prefer So Delicious, so I'm going to end with that. What about you, Kent?
100%. I think that the fact that Swig has franchise nationwide is just a slap in the face to the original, which is So Delicious, which is only
Mm.
available in Utah as far as I know.
Well, maybe Idaho too or something.
Yeah, that actually tracks.
Yeah,
But
probably.
I do love So Delicious, and I do agree with Clark that a Diet Southern Gentleman is top notch.
Okay, wait, one last question that I just remembered. If you could bring a Utah franchise to your city, what would you bring? If you could franchise any Utah company to bring, and we're not going to say Crumble because they've already franchised. Clearly, Swig already has. So let's talk about one that is not in over in your state. What would you
Oh
bring?
my gosh, I think it would be J Dogs actually. I love
Really?
Mm.
nothing more than yes, I love J
I
Dogs.
do love J Dogs.
Wow, I am
Sponsored by
salivating even thinking about yeah exactly.
J
J
Dogs.
Dogs, or honestly, I think Cup Bop is like I feel these are places that I used to take for granted, but like a Cup Bop would go kind of hard right now.
I
That's
can
all I
only
can
eat
say.
Cup Bop like once a year, so Cup Bop's a no go for me. But J Dogs is good. I do love J Dogs.
I don't know if it's Utah, but I really miss Cafe Rio, and like those are available on every street corner in Utah, and they are simply not. You got one in DC,
We
even.
have one and we go often.
Ugh, I miss Cafe Rio real big.
Cafe Rio's good.
And when people visit
My
us who used to live in Utah, they always want to go to Cafe Rio. Sorry. Go ahead, Clark. What would you
my
choose?
answer is definitely. I mean, there's several honestly, but Burger Supreme #1.
Yeah, you can't.
My off-brand would be Brand X Burgers, but it shut down in Springville a long time ago. But
Oh,
that place is amazing.
we used to
And
drive
then
there to get.
Chuckarama would be my other option.
Okay,
I'd love to get Chuckarama.
Chuckarama is the one. I would love to have a Chuckarama out here, but like it would have to be same quality, same
Yeah.
like style. I would need a Chuckarama all you can eat buffet out here.
Mm.
Uh,
Undoubtedly.
Also, yeah, why is there not like a Burger Supreme type burger place out here? I don't understand how no one can
A strong
quite.
burger.
Yeah,
No
no
one's
one
It'd
can.
be
got it
so good.
really.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining me. I really appreciate you both being here. I feel really good about this, and I love you both so much. But I think that's all I have. Anyone have anything else?
Happy Sabbath. I love you both.
Watch the new Bachelor season starting March 22nd. When does it start?
It
Wait,
starts
that's
March.
actually a great promo. Can you, Clark? I want you to give that same line, but I want you to do it with like 150% energy.
Be sure to tune into the new season of Bachelorette starting March 22nd, starring your favorite Taylor Frankie Paul.
That was really good, actually.
Are we gonna call her something different than Taylor Frankie Paul? Because I find myself calling her like Taylor Frankie
Okay.
Taylor Small.
TFP,
TFP, Tiff, Tiffy P.
Tiffy P, Tiff, TFP.
I'm sure we'll find something by the end. Well, that's it for this episode. Hello, Mom. We never thought you'd stumble upon our reality TV podcast, and we apologize for the things we said about you, and also for the things we will probably say about you on future episodes. For everyone else, if you've listened this far and even mildly enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and leave comments. Maybe share it with a friend or even your bishop. We know this episode might sound a little frankenbitten, but Kent promises to try harder to edit if you guys actually like what we are putting out there. Catch you next time.